Hey guys, in this video, I'm going to teach you how to source products for your e-commerce business. We're going to cover everything from making the products yourself to drop shipping to manufacturing products as well, and how to know when to use each of these different e-commerce sourcing methods. Now, before we dive in, I just wanted to introduce myself. My name is Charlie Kamasaska. I've started 6 e-commerce brands over the past 5 years, which have collectively sold over 7,000 products online, which to be honest isn't really that many, but it is definitely enough to know the ins and outs of the e-commerce business model. And so I've been doing a series of videos for beginners who are just getting into e-commerce, and this is the next video in that series. Previously, I talked about how to determine what product to sell online, as well as how to clarify your marketing message using a method called the story brand. So you can check out those videos using the links above. But for now, we're going to talk about product sourcing. So let's go ahead and get started. We've got a lot of ground to cover today, so I'm going to try to move quickly through this. I'll shrink myself down and let's hop into e-commerce product sourcing. All right, so I want to start by just talking through a couple of misconceptions when it comes to starting an e-commerce business. Number one, I have to invent a new product to start a business. Absolutely not, and we're going to talk about why that's the case today. 2, I need to travel overseas to meet with a manufacturer in order to create a new product. Absolutely not the case. There are many online tools that you can use to find and source great products. Number 3, I can't start a business because I just don't have the right connections. False. You can make connections over the internet. Newsflash. Number 4, my budget makes starting a business impossible for me. I'd need thousands of dollars just to launch my product, so I am out of luck. Again, not true. You can give e-commerce a shot for just a few $100, and we'll talk about how to do that today. And finally, I don't have a background in computers, so I can't be successful in e-commerce. Again, that's nonsense. You can learn the minimal computer skills that you need in order to succeed. So with those misconceptions out of the way, let's get started and talk about these product sourcing methods. And we're going to focus on 3 of them today. Number 1 is make. Number 2, manufacture, and number 3 is resell. So for each of these, we're going to talk through an overview of what they are, pros and cons, and this third bullet, which you can't see here, is resources. I'm going to give you links and things that you can download and take with you today to help you understand when to use each of these 3 different product sourcing methods and how to use them successfully. So with all the preamble out of the way, let's jump into our first product sourcing method today, which is making your own products. So an overview of making your own products is that this involves using your own creative skill to create some kind of product and start a business selling it over the internet. Now, maybe you're someone who's great with woodworking or design or something like that. You can do this and you can use your skills to start an e-commerce business. Now, the benefit of this is that you have total control over your brand, right? This is a custom product. It's fully unique. Nobody makes the things that you make in the way that you make them. And it's also kind of fun, right? Making your own products can be a fulfilling activity, if nothing else. However, there are definitely some downsides to this method, pretty much everything else, to be honest. I think a lot of people have been successful with this method, but have struggled to scale it up into a really sizable business. So depending on what your goals, maybe that's not a big deal, but imagine, let's say you are a woodworker and you make chairs or something. Imagine having to make and fulfill 1,000 orders a month for your custom chair. Is that something that you would enjoy? Is that something that's even possible within the confines of the 24-hour day? I'm not sure. So be thinking about that if you're considering starting your own business and making your own products from scratch. The primary resource for this is Etsy. That's the platform online where you're going to want to sell your own products if you're making them yourself. So I'm not going to spend a ton of time on Make because most people aren't really interested in this model. I'm sure there are plenty of other resources out there if you're interested in this, though. The next one, so again, this is not realistic for most people, but the next product sourcing method is much more popular for e-commerce startups, and that is to manufacture a product. So again, a little overview of this is just to place a bulk order with a manufacturer and have those products delivered to some sort of warehouse, a third-party logistics company who's going to store your inventory and then deliver those products to your customers whenever they buy something from your website. So that's what manufacturing a product is. You probably are familiar with this concept. So what are the benefits of choosing the manufacturing product sourcing method? Well, first of all, brand control. When you're manufacturing a product and buying something in bulk like this, you usually have leeway to customize the customer experience, right? So you can, create a product that is unique to you, that has some feature that you've designed, and maybe has some packaging that's custom with your logo and branding on it, so that you can really control the customer experience from soup to nuts. Second, profit margin, big benefit of the manufacturing business model. So since you're ordering in bulk, the cost per unit is usually very low, sometimes about 5x lower than the actual sale price of the item that you're selling. So profit margin, huge benefit of manufacturing. And finally, differentiation. This is kind of similar and related to brand control, but when you're manufacturing a product, if you're working with a good manufacturer, they'll be willing and able to make customizations to the product that you're selling. This will be a way that you can stand out from the competition, right? Build some sort of custom feature to your product or widget that really sets you apart from the competition. My recommendation would be to head over to Amazon, find similar products that you're considering manufacturing, read the 3, 2, and 1-star reviews for that product, and identify, how could I tweak this product to improve upon it and make it more appealing for people and solve problems that are created by my competition. That's how differentiation ideas are born. And when you're manufacturing, this is sort of a unique aspect of this sourcing method that you can really implement differentiation to your benefit. So those are the benefits of manufacturing a product. I want to mention one example of this is a company called Swell. Maybe you've heard of these water bottles. They're just stainless steel water bottles that are designed in different colors and patterns like you see on the screen. So there's really nothing revolutionary about the product itself. It's just a stainless steel water bottle, which has been around for decades. But they were able to differentiate themselves in a couple of ways. Number one is just the design of the product. If you look at it, they're pretty interesting, they're cool looking, but they've also sort of created a community around this brand by linking it to a cause. So if you go to their website, you can read all about how Swell is linked to the water crisis that's occurring globally. And if you don't know anything about that, you can learn about it on the Swell website. And I think that's been instrumental to their success. So differentiation can occur through not just the design of the product like Swell does, but also through the branding and marketing. So something to think about, again, if you're manufacturing, is how are you going to differentiate yourself? All that being said, manufacturing does have some downsides to be aware of. Number one, it has the highest startup costs of any of the sourcing methods that we're going to talk about today. Since you are ordering in bulk, you're typically going to have to buy, 100 or 1,000 or 10,000 units of this product to get it started, depending on, how big it is, and each manufacturer is going to have its own specific requirements that you're going to need to be aware of. So it might be a little more expensive than you're hoping for. Number two, it's the slowest time to market. So, in the past, I have ordered products in bulk from overseas, and by the time the products are manufactured and then delivered on some sort of shipping vessel to the United States, and then arriving at my warehouse and passing inspections and all of these customs and all of these different things that it has to go through, it can take 6 to 12 weeks really from the time that you place an order with the manufacturer before you're ready to start selling products. So you're going to have to be patient and have some startup capital as well to start with manufacturing. And number three, a highest potential risk. Because of these other two factors that I've already mentioned, you might go plan out this big manufacturing run, spend a bunch of money on it, wait for 3 months, and then finally you find out that, oh man, there wasn't demand for this product after all, and it turns out to be kind of a failure. And now you've invested all of this time and all of this money, and it didn't really work out. So big risk, slowest time to market, high startup costs involved with manufacturing products, something that you need to be aware of. Now, like I said, there still are a lot of benefits, and there maybe is a good reason to do manufacturing, but many people don't start with manufacturing. So we're going to transition to the next sourcing method in just a second, but First, what I want to do is just give you a couple of resources for manufacturing. First, and this is pretty widely known, but Alibaba is the sort of place to search for manufacturers online. You're going to find a lot of Chinese manufacturers here, but you can find a manufacturer for pretty much any product or product category that you can think of, and you're going to be able to negotiate with them and get customized features and all of the things that we talked about already. So use Alibaba to find manufacturers. Once you start searching for manufacturers and start reaching out to them, you're going to need an outreach template. So I have one here that's linked in the deck and also in the video description. And this is something that I use. These are the questions that you're going to want to ask your manufacturer when you're reaching out to them. So there's a lot of acronyms in here and stuff. So if you scroll down, I give definitions for what all these things mean. But check this out. This is going to help you a lot in getting standardized responses from your manufacturers. And it's also going to help you to gather the information you need in order to make an informed decision about which supplier you're going to use. So check out this supplier outreach guide as well. And then finally, FreightOS. When you order from a manufacturer, you're going to need to typically have that product delivered overseas to a warehouse in the US, like I mentioned, or whatever your home country is. And so you're going to need to contract with what's called a freight forwarder, which is someone who can book space on a shipping vessel for you to deliver your products. Now, this process maybe sounds intimidating or complicated, but if you use a marketplace like FreightOS, you can search and compare shipping rates instantly. It's amazing how quick and awesome this tool is. So you can use this to find a great freight forwarder at an affordable rate for your product. So check out FreightOS if you're going to manufacture a product. And that takes us to the end of the second sourcing method. So we're going to transition now to the third and final method that we're going to discuss today, which is reselling your products. And specifically, we're going to focus on drop shipping. So you could also wholesale products, which is another form of reselling. It's kind of similar to drop shipping, but also sort of a hybrid of manufacturing and drop shipping. So most people aren't wholesaling in the e-commerce startup game. I'll include some information about it at the end of the video, but we're going to focus on drop shipping for the rest of today's video. And so what is drop shipping? Well, dropshipping is an arrangement where a supplier allows you to list their product on your own website without requiring you to buy any inventory up front like you do with manufacturing. Now, once a customer places an order on your store, you simply communicate that order to the supplier, who will then directly ship that product to the end customer. So you never have to touch the product, you don't have to store it in inventory, and you don't have to worry about delivery as well. All of that is taken care of by the supplier. And so this graphic kind of from Oberlo kind of explains that as well. So that's how drop shipping works. It's a different sourcing model. Again, it has its own pros and cons. So let's talk about what those are. The benefits of drop shipping. Number one, lowest startup costs. As opposed to manufacturing, you don't have to buy any inventory up front. So you only actually have to spend money on the products after you make a sale. So it really effectively costs you nothing to buy each individual product. You just price your products with a markup, and then you pay for each individual product that you sell out of the revenue that you receive from your customer. So low startup costs. Of course, you still have marketing expenses and different technology expenses, but you don't have any expenses related to the products that you're selling, which is appealing for a lot of newcomers to e-commerce. Number two, it's the fastest time to market. Since you don't have to wait for the products to be shipped overseas or stored or pass inspection, you can simply, create your website and start selling products in the matter of an hour or two, to be honest. So drop shipping, again, appealing because it's very fast to get started. Number three, lowest risk of any of the models that we've talked about today. And that is true because, again, it's so fast and inexpensive to get started that you can test ideas really quickly with drop shipping and get some feedback and determine if your ideas have any weight, right? Can you sell these products online? You can figure that out really quickly and inexpensively, which means that it has low risk. So those are the benefits of drop shipping. very popular among newcomers to e-commerce, but it does have its downsides. Number one, it gives you the least amount of control over your brand. So you are kind of at the mercy of your dropshipping suppliers. When it comes to dropshipping, you can't usually customize the packaging with your own logo. You have no say over, how quickly it's going to get to your client. And oftentimes shipping times are a little bit lengthier as well, especially when compared with things like 2-day prime shipping or 1-day, same day, whatever they've got nowadays. That can be a major pain point as well. Number two is profit margin. So again, since you're not buying in bulk, you're buying one at a time. Typically, your markup is going to be much lower than it is when compared with manufacturing. So your profit margin is going to be a little skinnier. You're going to have to be more efficient with your marketing in order to turn a nice profit with drop shipping. Not an insurmountable obstacle, but definitely something to be aware of. And number three is competition. Because it's such low risk and so easy to get started and inexpensive to get started with dropshipping, a lot of people are doing it. And a lot of people are selling the same products online with dropshipping as well. So differentiation is tough, and you're going to have to figure out a way to compete with people if you go through dropshipping. Now, there's a lot of different ways you can do this. I would say the design of the website is super important. Different customer service policies and guarantees are going to be important. Bundling different products together is going to be important. But you're going to have to sort of solve this puzzle of how do I compete with a lot of other people who are probably selling the same products as me online. So to close out the dropshipping section here, just a few resources. Number one is AliExpress. Again, this is pretty widely known, but this is the counterpart to Alibaba, where you can find products online here that you can usually drop ship. So this can be connected to, let's say, a Shopify store through an app like through an app like Oberlo, which allows you to, port dropshipping products directly onto an online store and sort of link up the product sourcing workflow. So that's very simple to deliver these products directly to your customers. So, check out AliExpress. You can buy these products one at a time, and usually they will allow you to drop ship. However, AliExpress is going to have really long shipping times typically because they're coming from China and for the most part. So if you're interested in US-based drop shipping, I would recommend you check out Spocket. They also have a pretty big, not quite as big of a catalog of products that you can sell through drop shipping. However, these products you could filter down to look at products that are being shipped from the US. And you can see here that these have like 1 to 3 day shipping times, which you can't find that on AliExpress hardly at all. So if that's a big concern of yours, and it maybe should be, check out Spocket because this is another good option for you for drop shipping suppliers. And then finally, we haven't talked about print on demand at all, but this is another sort of drop shipping business model where you can create and sell custom products. So Printify or Printful, those are two really popular ones. If you're a designer in particular, you can sell, just tons of different types of products online, t-shirts, hoodies, flip-flops, bags, anything that you can think of. They can print your design directly onto these products and you can drop ship them to your customers. So another interesting drop shipping model for you to consider here is the print on demand model. So that takes me to the end of the drop shipping section and the final product sourcing method that we're going to cover in this video. The last thing that I wanted to show here on the screen is just this little chart. It's kind of a cheat sheet that summarizes the things that we talked about today. It also has some information about wholesaling down here. If you're interested in wholesaling, maybe let me know in the comments of this video and we can consider making a whole separate video to talk about wholesaling. But what also is useful here that we haven't really touched on yet is when to use these different sourcing methods here, this column on the right side of the screen. If you are maybe newer to e-commerce, you haven't started an online brand yet, I would recommend you start with drop shipping just because of those low risk, low cost factors that I mentioned earlier. This will allow you to just get your feet wet in the world of e-commerce, figure out what it's like to set up your first website on Shopify and find products that may sell and create your first advertisements on Facebook and Google and that sort of thing. And you can do all of that for, a few $100 and really give it a shot. And, even if you don't turned a huge profit on that first attempt, you're going to learn a ton about the e-commerce game. So I would recommend that that's where you start if you're just getting into e-commerce. It'll also help you kind of validate your ideas to figure out, if your idea is something that can actually sell. And maybe if you succeed to some degree with dropshipping, you might even then transition that same product, maybe customize it a little bit more and have it manufactured. So you can get the benefits of manufacturing while you've already tested it through dropshipping. So a lot of people like to go that route, start with dropshipping and then transition to manufacturing. So you can use manufacturing if you have a little bit of a bigger budget, you're willing to put a few $1,000s up front at least to manufacture that product. Maybe your idea has been validated because you've dropshipped it a little bit or you've done some surveys or something like that. So you're willing to kind of take on the risks of manufacturing that I mentioned. And also if you want to leverage Amazon FBA, then manufacturing is your best route. So if you didn't know this already, about 50% of the products sold on Amazon are actually sold by third-party sellers. So people like me who are e-commerce brand owners that manufactured a product and had it delivered to an Amazon warehouse, and then those products are available for prime shipping. And so Amazon FBA, hugely popular e-commerce business model, and something that if you're going to do it, you're going to need to manufacture your products for the most part. So hopefully that's helpful, this little summary graphic, and hopefully this video has been informative for you guys as you think about manufacturing or reselling or making your own products and starting your e-commerce business. So if you did find this video to be helpful, then I hope you'll just subscribe, like the video, share it, comment, something like that. That would be super helpful for us. And, just follow along. We're going to be creating more videos in this e-commerce for beginners series. And you can just, check out our channel to find out what else we're up to here at Boardroom. So my name is Charlie. Thanks so much for watching. See you guys next time.